Welcome to the Billionaire Mindset, your 30-day journey to thinking like a billionaire. Now you can just watch this video, or if you want to sign up for the entire series for free and get the bonus PDF companion calendar, check the link in the description below. Today is day 24, and we're going to learn how you can be a leader like a billionaire. Enjoy.
I think just generally the path to leadership should not be through, basically MBA business school situation. It's like it should be kind of work your way up, do useful things, and and there's a bit too much of somebody goes to a high-profile MBA school and then kind of parachutes in as the leader, but they don't actually know how things work. They could be good at, say, PowerPoint presentations or something like that, and they can present well, but they don't actually know how things work because they do not, they parachute in instead of like working their way out.
They never went through an apprenticeship, for lack of a better word.
They're kind of like just not aware of what's really needed for, to make great products. I don't want to trash MBAs too much here, and I actually do have a dual undergrad, Wharton undergrad, and physics at UPenn. So, so I have direct exposure to business school, and I went to do undergrad business school with physics. But and I was a teaching assistant for 2 semesters, and I graded MBAs and undergrads. But I think it's just a little bit too much, like people look at MBA school as like, I want to parachute into being the boss instead of earning it. And I don't think that's good.
My opinion is that I can do some things at Amazon would be hard for other people to do only because of my history with the company. And as the company has grown, of course, my job has changed very much, and it has. My main job today is I'm kind of I work hard at helping to maintain the culture. A culture of high standards, of operational excellence, of inventiveness, of willingness to fail, willingness to make bold experiments. I'm the counterbalance to the institutional no who can say yes. But I won't, I'm not going to be here forever. Amazon is many of the traits that make Amazon unusual are now deeply ingrained in the culture. In fact, if I wanted to change them, I couldn't. If I decided tomorrow that I wish Amazon did less pioneering and more close following, I couldn't do it. The culture cultures are self-reinforcing, and that's a good thing. The people who come to the company, sometimes people come to the company and they find Amazon very boring because we don't have enough, competitive zeal. We don't wake up. Some annual planning processes and some companies literally start with who are our 3 biggest enemies, and then here's how we're going to hold them at bay or defeat them. And we don't have such a list at Amazon. It's not how our annual planning process works. And so, but if you're, on the other hand, if you're the kind of person who gets up in the morning and says, in the shower time, what can we invent for customers and what can we do differently and how can we improve that experience and so on, then it's going to be a playground. I still run into work, by the way. I took my family on vacation to France, my wife's extended family. There were about 20 of us. And we had an unbelievably good time, great food, everything. We were there for a week. I got back to Seattle and I ran into the office. I'm having so much fun. I'm actually a big fan of anecdotes in business, not building a narrative structure around them necessarily, but I still have an email address that customers can write to. I see most of those emails and I don't answer very many of them anymore, but I see them and I forward them. Some of them, the ones that catch my curiosity, I forward them to the executives in charge of that area with a question mark. And that question mark is just a shorthand for, can you look into this? Why is this happening? What's going on? And what I find is very interesting, because we have tons of metrics. We have, weekly business reviews with these metric decks, and we know so many things about customers and their whether we're delivering on time, whether the packages have too much air in them and, wasteful of packaging and so on. We have so many metrics that we monitor. And the thing I have noticed is that when the anecdotes and the data disagree, the anecdotes are usually right. There's something wrong with the way you're measuring it. And that's why it's so important to keep you need to run something where you're doing, shipping billions of packages a year. For sure, you need good data and metrics. Are you delivering on time? Are you delivering on time in every city? Are you delivering on time to apartment complexes? Are you delivering on time in certain countries? You do need the data. But then you need to check that data with your intuition and your instincts. And you need to teach that to all the senior executives and junior executives too.
What are the qualities of your leadership that make you successful at such diverse pursuits? And what works in one area that maybe doesn't work in another?
Well, I tell you, it works in all areas because my life is fueled by my being.
Yep.
And the being fuels the doing. So I come from a centered place. I come from a focused place. I come from compassion. It's just my nature. I come from a willingness to understand and to be understood.
Right.
And I come from wanting to connect. I mean, the secret of that show for 25 years is that people could see themselves in me. All over the world, they could see themselves in me. And even as I became more and more financially successful, which was a big surprise to me, I was like, oh my God, this is so exciting.
You mean you got more than that 30,000?
I got more than 30,000 by the time I was 30. But what I realized is through the whole process, because I'm grounded in my own self, that although I could have more shoes, my feet stayed on the ground, although I was wearing better shoes. These are kind of cute today, too. So I could keep my feet on the ground, even though I could get more shoes. And I could understand that it really was because I was grounded. I've done was doing and continue to this day to do the consciousness work. I work at staying awake. And being awakened is just another word for spirituality, but spirituality throws people off and they think you mean religion. When I was hiring people for my company looking for presidents, when people would come in, I'd say, tell me, what is your spiritual practice? And literally would throw, people would go, well, I'm not religious. I said, I didn't ask you about your religion. I asked you what's your spiritual practice. What do you do to take care of yourself? What do you do to keep yourself centered? What do you do to the, and one woman started crying, that's not the person.
So that's a sign.
That's a sign. So to answer your question, everything is fueled that comes from me really wanting to be a better person on earth.
Leadership is not only about inspiring. Leadership is those people who join your company. You have to create value for him. You have to making sure in 3 years, he will be different. Not because his job is different, because if the people are not different, the products will never be different. I told many people when they joined Alibaba, I say, guys, I don't know fortunate or unfortunate in joining Alibaba. We work much longer than the others, much harder. We had more problems than most of the companies. If you can survive in Alibaba, you can survive at any company in the world because life is tough. We never promise you will be rich, you will be successful, you will be promoted. But we will promise you will be a problem, you have a wrong, you will make a mistake, you have a terrible boss. We all promised. So you set the expectation, but have a good vision. So that is the way we manage the company. And I think when you hire good people, the good people believe the vision they will get. So when I visiting a company, whether it's a good CEO or not, I do not listen to the CEO. I listen to his people. If the people believe the vision, or the people believe this guy. If the people believe the vision, if the people believe this guy, this company has hope. A good entrepreneur can always tell good stories. I don't need to listen story from you guys. I can tell your people, right? If your people, any young people in your company, he can tell me the vision. He can tell me what they're doing. That is a good company. That's leadership. Leadership is making sure everybody, when they sleep, when they drink, when they talk, when they go to the toilet, they talk your vision. And they believe it. I found out some great leaders in the world. They are always positive. They never complain others, and never complain. And they look at the things in a different view, like normal people. So I think people in my company, at the beginning, they don't like me because I'll always think about 10 years, 5 years. And then after we're working together for 3 or 5 years, they find, you're right. Then we got the credit rating. And as a CEO, one of the jobs, when everybody's happy, you have to see the unhappy things. When everybody's unhappy, you have to see the happy things. So leadership is nature, but you have to have train and learn. And I got my leadership upgraded in Davos. I see so many. Ali Enter Financing, how many people here know about Alipay? Thank you. Alipay's decision was made here. I was thinking about Alipay, but I was not dare to launch Alipay because in China, if you do financing without license, you will be in jail at that time. So I went to the banks, can you help us do the e-commerce on transaction? No. No banks would accept it. So if there will be no Alipay, no financing, the e-commerce would go nowhere. So year 2004, I was here. Listen to a speech by 2 state leaders about leadership. And this guy said, leadership is about responsibility. You believe it, but the people don't believe it. But if you think it's so critical, you should pay any price to do it. So that day changed my mind, and I called back to my team and say, let's launch it within 1 month. If somebody has to go to the jail, I go to the jail. Who will be the second one follow me? If I go, you continue, and you go to the jail, you go continue. That was they call the leadership determination. And year 2004, I made the decision here, I called it back. And now today the Alipay launched, and it's so big, over 800 million people today using Alipay globally.
If you look around the world at the people that succeed and the people that other people want to work with, the natural leaders, it isn't because they have the highest IQ or they can kick a football the furthest or anything like that. They're people that you want to work with. I mean, I've got a wonderful friend named Tom Murphy. I would do anything for him. He's never going to ask me to do it, but I want to do it. I want to do it. He's done so many things for me, he doesn't have to pay me to do it or anything of the sort. That's what you want to. You want to look for that, and you want to be that.
You never wanted to beat your competition?
No, I want to be successful.
You said teammates versus competition.
Right. At Solomon Brothers all those times, you work with other people. One of the ways, incidentally, Stephanie, to really get ahead is to give credit to somebody else. When I say, I didn't do it, Lloyd did that, and he involved me, let me tell you, I'm telling everybody it's me as well, but I've now made a friend, and you respect me because I've shared the credit. And if you say, no, me, I, nobody likes you, and nobody respects you, and they think you are exaggerating everything. But to the extent you give credit to elsewhere, the thought of, are they exaggerating, doesn't even come up.
If I could get my employees one at a time, to reach out and talk and engage a guest on a very personal level. Not a dealer talking to a blackjack player, but Annie talking to Mr. Jones. How are you today, Mr. Jones? Nice to see you again. Is there anything I can do for you? You feel like playing blackjack this morning? How's your wife? All of a sudden, forget the crystal chandeliers and the hand-woven carpets and the marble. It means nothing. All of a sudden, you're engaged with someone who cares about you. If I could arrange for my employees to find that gratifying and rewarding and increasing of their self-esteem, I would have plugged into the magic of business. And I finally, with the help of some other people, figured it out 4, 5, 6 years ago. And it changed my business and changed my life. It was a subject that I'm going to explain to you called storytelling. We took 900 supervisors at Wynn and put them in school. It took about 3 or 4 hours of training with some people from England. And we explained to them that we had a structure in the company that was very convenient. In every part of the hotel, which runs, as you know, 24 hours a day, we have a pre-shift meeting. If it's a restaurant, just before the restaurant opens, the maitre d' or the manager meets with the waiters and has a 10-minute session. The chef in the kitchen meets with his cooking line and has a session. Housekeepers on each floor meet with the inspectresses that are the supervisors on each floor of the hotel. Department by department, public area porters, there are collections of 12 to 15 people, or maybe as few as 7, with a line supervisor who gives them whatever it is they need to learn that day before they start their shift. We had a structure in place in the hotel that was very convenient. But instead of giving them inane or ordinary or mundane information, we changed the program to this. The supervisor said to the group of 8 or 10 or 12 people, has anybody got a story of something that happened yesterday or in the past week, special with a guest? And now I'm going to give you a true example. Bellman says to the bell captain, yeah, yesterday I checked in a man and his wife, older couple from California, and the bags came in, and I asked them to check and see if all the bags were there. And the woman let out a hoot. Oh my God, Herbie, I forgot the medicine bag. And that was a small hand case in which his medicine, he was a diabetic, and her medicine, they were in their 70s, were contained. Oh my God, Herbie, your insulin is in the bag. I left it on the front hall table when we got in the car. Oh my God, what are we going to do? We'll have to go back. I'll call the airport. Bellman tells the bell captain, I told him, just a minute, ma'am, where do you live? Pacific Palisades. Is there anybody at home at your house? Well, our housekeeper's there. I have a brother that lives in Encino. It's a Latino bellman. My brother, Hervé, lives in Encino. Why don't I give him a call? He can go over to your house and pick up the bag, and we'll manage to get it here for you. When do you need the medicine? It was 3 o'clock in the afternoon. She says, by 7 a.m. He says, don't you worry. If you can get that lady on the phone, tell her that Hervé Mendez is coming, and we'll get it here at 7 o'clock in the morning. You can do that? Yes, ma'am. She calls, he waits, she calls, tells the housekeeper, is the bag there? Yes, you left it on the front hall table. Hervé is coming to get it. Let him have it within the next hour. Okay, bye. You sure you can do it? Please, lady, enjoy dinner. Have a good time. Everything's going to be fine, I promise. Kid goes downstairs, tells the bellman on duty, his supervisor, that he's got to go get the bag. Jumps into his car, drives 5 hours to his brother's house, picks up the bag, turns around, and gets back to Las Vegas at 4 in the morning. takes the bag to the bellman and says, make sure this gets to room 10-0, whatever it was, by 7 a.m. It's got the ladies' medicine. I'm not done with the story. The relevance of this story, there's 1,000 of those a month. The supervisor's been trained. Everybody in the room says, wow, that's great, Mendez. We have an internet loop, a special internet thing in the hotel for the employees, and we have a sign shop, and we make signs for the back of the house. Immediately, a picture is taken of that bellman Mendez. His story is encapsulated in large print. We make paper signs and we decorate the back of the house. We publish Mendez's picture and story on the internet, and it's all over the employees' staff dining room, and everybody is reading about this bellman who's now a local hero. And his chest is out to here, and he's taken a bow, and he feels great because of the recognition he's getting from his peer group. Now, everybody else in the room with that bellman is looking for a story so they can tell it the next day. We found a key to making a single employee acting with a single guest instantly gratifying and increasing of their self-esteem. Now, every employee in the hotel is looking for a story. The dealers are on their way down the hall to take a break at the staff dining room, and they see a lady and a man looking a little confused, and they walk over on break and say, you look like you're looking for something. Can I help you? And the lady says, well, we're looking for a meeting room called Lafitte. Oh, that's our ballroom. You're standing here by the B bar. You have to go down past Wing Lei, the Chinese restaurant. Wait a minute. Come on with me. I'll take you. And the dealer makes a detour for 5 minutes and takes this couple and shows them the Lafitte room. You think that hotel is ever going to be the same again to those two people or that lady and her husband with the insulin? Hell, screw the chandeliers and the hand-woven fabrics and the onyx and the marble. It means nothing. They're going to tell their friends what an incredible place my hotel is. We've taken storytelling 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, every day of the year, to a great discipline in our company, giving people recognition for doing the one thing that creates a franchise that's stronger than anything I know about. That applies to your business. You've got to find those ideas that lift your staff, make them feel great about themselves in the context of your business. You do that, and I tell you that the results will astound you. First an idea, and then a program. First an idea, and then a building. It works every time. The newspaper hired an outside consulting firm to find out who the Review Journal, who was the best employer in town. And they did these big interviews, and they did a special Sunday section, and we won. And I didn't know what was going on until Mike Weaver called me up and told me and read me what the employees said. Oh, it was ecstasy. This is the greatest place to work because they listen to you here. If you've got a good idea, they'll listen to you. This is a great place to work because they're sensitive to your family problems. They work with you when you have those problems. This is the best job I've ever had in my life. We're the best. This is the coolest place. There was this deep pride at belonging to the family here. In other words, it wasn't just the onyx or the marble or the hand-woven carpets or the fancy chandeliers and reflected ceiling plans that are so expensive. It was the living organism that is the family of staff. And if you get all those things going at one time, listen, last thing I got to say. By definition, on this planet, from Asia to Europe, from Latin America to Canada, there has to be a best place in the world to stay. Why can't it be here? Maybe we're the best hotel in the world. Maybe. Not for me to say. But you know what? From what I understand from anybody that's ever taken and reviewed this objectively, if we're not it, we're in the top 3. Now that's a kicky thing to be able to do.
Up till 2002, all we focused on was survival. And then once we got public and were profitable, we started thinking, wow, this thing might last. And the cruelest irony would be to not want to work there, to let it become a place we didn't want to be. And so we tried to think through, what do we really care about? And we realized what we really care about is working with incredible people on hard problems. And that was the essence. And we should organize everything around supporting that, of working with just incredibly talented people. And so that led us to freedom and responsibility, because incredible people don't want to be micromanaged. And the idea is that we manage through setting context and letting people run. And you got to have the right people. You got to reinforce that with values, setting context about what the company is trying to achieve. But the idea is to build a system where amazing amounts of service improvement happen in the marketing, in the content, in the technology, in the user interface, without direct intervention of me. And so some companies operate by, the product genius at the top, and we all know these companies, and this whole motif of, to be a great CEO, you've got to be the great product person who really, and it's intoxicating and fun. But you're building incredible amounts of dependence on yourself. And eventually, how well I know how Turkish consumers consume Netflix, it's not that well. And so you're much stronger, obviously, building a distributed set of great thinkers. People know that, but in the past, what they've done is try to make everything a process. They said, okay, I don't want it to be a genius, so we're going to organize a process for everything. And once in a while, you heard, we're going to dummy-proof it. It's going to be such a good process that anybody, this was the IBM thing. And then if you dummy-proof the process, you only get dummies to work there, to do the process. And so that's why we're so, opposed to that. Instead, so focused on giving people great freedom, realizing there'll be mistakes, but there'll be a lot of positive achievement too.
So can you give some examples of that? I mean, you talk about it generically, and it sounds great, but what are some specific examples?
So I take pride in making as few decisions as possible as opposed to as many as possible. And so when something significant changes in the content, or the House of Cards purchase, Ted explained it. It was a huge purchase at that time. It was a half an hour conversation. We went back and forth. I said, are you really sure it's a great bet? Yes, let's do it. It wasn't like me reading the script and me meeting with Kevin Spacey and, or equivalent examples on the marketing, or equivalent examples on the product and the evolution there. So it's creating a sense of, I want to make a difference and I can make a difference. And if that's what the leader gets excited about, is that other people are making a difference, and you've got the right people. You got to be super demanding. So one part is freedom and responsibility. The other part is a high performance culture, where we say adequate performance gets a generous severance package. And so, we look at it and we say, we want to be like a Major League Baseball team. And, you've only got so many positions on the field, and if everyone is not incredible at what they do, then you're not going to win.
So you turn over a lot of people.
And so we turn over a lot of people. We feel like, we give people a fair shot, and we hire pretty openly, and they know what they're getting into. But we're looking for people for whom freedom and responsibility works, because they do incredible work.
One part that I'm always very focused on is sort of the structure of these companies and how well are people aligned. And so you can, making sure that people are aligned properly, not just that they say they are. And I think this is sort of a very legal kind of a framework to think about what are people's incentives, are they going to be aligned or not? And I think you want to both have formal alignment where you set the structure right, and you want to have informal alignment where the people would naturally try to work together well in one way or another. And I think that somehow tends to get obscured in all these other ways. There's always a prehistory question I like to ask founders of companies, which is how did you meet? What's the prehistory of the company before you got started? And I find that to be a really instructive set of questions to ask. A bad answer is something like, we met a week ago at a social networking function, at a business networking function. We decided to start a company because we both wanted to be entrepreneurs. That's like saying, I married the first person I met at the slot machines in Las Vegas, and you might hit the jackpot, but it's probably a really bad idea. And a much better answer is, we've been talking about this for a long time. Maybe one of us is more on the tech side, the other one's more on the business side. We have these sort of complementary skills. And so I think this question of alignment and structure is incredibly important.
Far more is gained by walking on the shop floor and talking to the people and trying to communicate. One of my weaknesses has been, I think, I've never communicated enough or adequately with our people, partly because I'm a shy person, and secondly, because I didn't realize the importance of communication. But I think communication with the employees is an exceedingly important function that any company chairman has to do and be visible in that sense.
I think a good leader has to be a really good listener, and I'm listening to fascinating people all the time. Not famous people, just everybody has some expertise in something in life, and I get excited by so many new things.
In my environment, what happens in our environment, the reason we're growing is because the code of ethics is we push, we don't want lazy around us. We have a lot of fun, okay? But when we're pushing to get the deal done, and that starts with the leadership. Here I am, 4 days we've been here. I haven't been in the ocean yet. I haven't done the little things that go across the ocean. What are those called?
Jet skis.
The jet skis.
Yeah.
I haven't jumped out of the plane, even though everybody's...
Skydive.
By the way, I'd love to skydive, and I probably will come back and skydive. But I haven't done that because the region's asking something of me, right? And if I'm like, I'm too busy, I'm riding camels today. Great experience, and I will have it. But I have to set priorities in my life. The people around me know that I'm going to take the work before I'm going to take the leisure, yeah.
Grant,
so pay the price today, right?
Pay the price.
And I can pay any price tomorrow.
What's your main message on your heart right now to people in this time?
I would pay people. I would look at the things, just like I said about number one, find out what and who you need to cut. Yeah. Same thing I would tell a household. What and who do you need to cut from your life? Is there some obligation you have that you don't need going forward? Cut it.
Yeah.
Financial. Is there people in your life that you could afford to have in January and you can't afford to have them anymore? You got to cut them. You got to boss up right now. You got to do the tough thing. If you want to take care of your tribe, your group, your family, you have to do leadership. It requires tough decisions, unpopular decisions. The fastest way to grow a business is to collaborate with other people. Is to find these ferries that are going back and forth. Be real, okay? The ferries, dude, I could build a boat or I could just go get on one of those.
Exactly.
Right? And what we're doing today is we are drafting or just collaborating with.
Yeah.
Cardone Capital, I don't go build apartments.
No.
I buy apartments that are already built. That way I can scale faster. If I was trying to do the building thing now construction, teams, right? Now, along the way, I'm adjusting as I go.
Of course.
But I need to get in the water and start swimming in some direction. I think too many people are trying to figure out where they're going.
Yeah.
And by the time you figure it out, somebody's already there.
You're trying to run a business the way you would your marriage. Problem is, people are going to quit. They're going to quit your business easier because they don't know, there's no culture. And once you have those kids, it's hard to walk out on the marriage because you can't get rid of the kids. The moment they turn 15 or 18 and they leave, you're like, the marriage is over. Same thing in a business, man. The business falls apart every day. You got to train your people daily. Number one, think bigger. 2, get everybody on the same page. Educate your people daily. 3, you need to start following your customers up. Hey, why didn't you buy the services? You were in here yesterday. Why didn't you hook up? Why didn't you do it? What are you thinking? Where are we at? You don't have to make the phone call. Get an intern to make the phone call. I'm on a project right now in a town I've never been in where that's what I'm doing. I made 11 phone calls for a guy the other day. The 10th phone call, guy's like, oh yeah, I was thinking about doing that right now. It's a $9,000 sale. Small town, small think, no follow-up. I'm not calling new people, by the way. I'm not calling cold people. I'm calling people that are already on this guy's list. That's not a sales call. That's contact. Simply contact. Hey, why didn't you buy the service? Why didn't you do it with us? Why didn't you? And so that works in any business. It works in law. It works in medical. It works in, I work in all these spaces. Financial planning. It's not the customer's job to follow you guys up. It's your job to follow them up. And why am I doing that? Because I don't want to be dependent upon one or two customers. I want to get rid of customers. And how do you get rid of customers? Scale your business. How do you scale a business? Right here. Don't be satisfied with where you're at. This isn't about your sheets at your house, your bed, your house, your little comfort, your money, your retirement account. It's about, can you scale your business big enough that's so big that somebody want to buy your business, and that's your exit.
Get that? They'll get that. Somebody will get that. I'm not going to get it. April, you're going to get that, right? See, that's the other thing. Like right now, like you got to juggle, dude. Like you got to juggle. You can't. If I get up now and go answer that phone, it's only because I don't have somebody here to help me. When I roll, I got to have a team. Normally, I got 2 other people with me. I got 2 kids in the other room, their friend, who happens to be here. So we joined up, and their mother's a producer in Hollywood, and they happen to be here at the same time. In fact, the guy that Andrew Banks, that's on Shark Tank in Australia, he was here. We had dinner yesterday, just happened to run into each other. But you got to have a team. Nobody was telling me when I started a business, bro, you need a team. You're going to need a team, man. You want to be super successful? Spider-Man. Spider-Man doesn't have a team, does he? I think he does his own costume, but it's stupid. Like, how can you be Spider-Man and do your own costume, right? I mean, to be Superman, I mean, Batman's got a team, right? Superman, he's got a team. Doesn't he have a team? I don't think he does. Maybe he's got a mama. But that's for the comic books, man. You need a team.
Well, that's an interesting thing, right? Because I've like studied you, and I've seen, like, you know, you've got Alan, you've got
I got Alan on my team.
Yeah, you've got
ALAN on Instagram.
You got the young guy, the president,
Jared Grant. Jared Grant.
Yeah, so I'm curious.
I got Ryan Secco.
Yeah.
He was a pilot. Now he's running a $1.2 billion real estate portfolio. I got Sherry Hamilton. I got personal assistants. I got 150. We got 150 employees in Miami. Another 250 in the real estate. That could be 500 easily in the real estate. You know, there's probably 500 employees between the 2 businesses right now. And I'm sitting here thinking, why don't I have 50,000 employees? Okay, I look out here in these windows, Central Equity, okay? I guarantee you that's not a one-man show right there. You don't get your name on a building being one person.
I think accountability is underrated. I think the easiest person to lie to is yourself. Whether it's competition or team or husband or wife or partner. Or need for success.
And it's not always the family members that can do it. Like sometimes I need to hear from somebody other than the person I sleep with, or my mommy and daddy. You know, because mommy and daddy are just going to be like, I love you just the way you are.
Yeah.
But when you start getting input from somebody outside your bloodline, you know, I remember a guy about 4 or 5 years ago. He just sold his company. He was worth $4.4 billion at the time. He just had a big score. But he had a lifetime of doing deals, you know, and this one thing finally hit. And his impression of me was completely different than what anybody else says of me. And what he told me was, hey, Grant, you can do more. Like, and then when he said that, it was just like, wow, from him, you can do more, Grant. Grant, you should do more. Grant, you must do more. And I was like, wow, it was riveting. And at that time I was looking at buying the jet. He's like, you absolutely should buy a jet. You should. And he's not a wasteful guy. This is a fairly frugal guy. He didn't waste money. He didn't show off. He's never on social media. And he says, look, you have the gift to help a lot of people, man. You're an extremely transparent person. You tell people like it is. You want to help people. And he's like, you need to go travel the world and make sure you help people. And so that was an inspiration from a guy that's done a lot.
Yeah.
as opposed to my family saying, like if it's a family member, this is what I'm going to hear most of the time. Man, don't you think you're working too hard? Huh? Don't you think you're doing too much? When's enough? When are you just going to be happy? Are you spending enough time with the kids? You enjoying life? These little things they drop. I know you hear this. Right? When are you just going to be satisfied with Rob? You know?
Yeah.
But this guy looking in said, dude, you can do more.
Yeah.
And people need that outside inspiration and accountability.
Now I've got some special bonus clips that I think you're gonna enjoy, but before that, it's time for the Billionaire Mindset question of the day. I wanna know what was your single biggest takeaway from this video and your plan of action for the next week. Also, if you've already got your Billionaire Mindset Companion PDF calendar, get ready for another amazing video tomorrow. Or if you don't have it yet, you can get it for free in the first line of the description below. And if you're enjoying this Billionaire Mindset series, give me a hashtag Billionaire Mindset in the comments below so I can celebrate you. My definition of leadership is wanting the people on your team to win more than you want them to win with you. I want the people on my team to win as humans more than I want them to win with me. That's good karma. That keeps you positive and happy, but it also wins your team's heart and souls and not just their brains. So I like to think of relationships as parallel paths. Whenever I'm interacting with somebody, it's a parallel path. Even you and I right now, this is a parallel path that we are on right now for the next however many minutes. And then I'm off doing my thing and you're gonna go off and do your thing. And maybe we come back on the same parallel path and we meet again. Or maybe this is the last time I see you. Sorry to see you go, but hopefully you're off doing your life, crushing it, and we moved on. And I think that's normal. And you'll have people come into your life and you run together. And sometimes the best thing in life is for them to stay with you as a running mate for a day, for a week, for life, for a decade. And sometimes the best thing for them is to actually move away. And now running with you is no longer the best thing for them. And that's your job now to push them away and go do it. Maybe they come back at some point in the future if you align again. I think about a friend of mine named Bo Hawkins. And Bo has been a friend for a number of years. He was super active on my YouTube channel. And a while ago, 2 years ago, we started a new show called The Bo Show. And the Bo Show was him going to be interviewing different people and bringing them to my YouTube channel. He loves reaching out. He's got a knack for being able to find and get access to exclusive people. And he wanted to run an interview show, but his channel was a little bit small. And so he said, can I use your channel? I thought, yes. The very first interview he did was with Wim Hof. And I wanted to get to Wim Hof, and he wanted to get to Gary Vee, and Gary Vee had been on my channel, so I introduced him to Gary, and he did an interview with him. He introduced me to Wim, and I did a whole session with Wim, and went and did the ice baths with Nina, and had a bunch of fun. And so we launched the Bo Show. And at that point, then Bo became very heavily involved in what we were doing. He's reaching out. We're promoting his shows. We're in contact a lot back and forth. Then he came to my Thought Leadership Academy in Toronto and was one of the helpers and was coaching people on how to get these introductions. How do you get access to big names? And then he got a big client. And he shut down his YouTube channel and didn't post any content and wasn't doing interviews. And he kind of left the parallel paths, right? It's like, awesome, I'm so pumped for you. Go do your thing. He's doing Netflix specials. He's making tons of money. He's doing dream projects that he's working on. And he kind of left to go do his thing. And then he messaged me about a month ago. This was like 2 years ago. He was doing the Bo Show, nothing. Messaged me about a month ago and said, hey, Evan, I want to launch the Bo Show again. I'm like, yeah, baby, let's go. Right? And so he got Gary Vee back on, he got Wim Hof back on, he's got some exciting other guests lined up that we're gonna bring back to the main channel. And he was on parallel path and he left, and I, we stayed in touch every now and then, and now he's back. Right? And again, maybe this parallel path with Bo is a lifetime. Maybe I talk to Bo every day for the rest of my life until one of us dies, or we die together holding hands. I don't know. Who knows what will happen? Or maybe this is another stretch for 3 months, and then he finds another passion project and goes and does that. You don't know. But the door is still open. It was a great run 2 years ago, and now we're setting off on another run, and hopefully that lasts for a long time. But if the best thing for him ultimately is to go off and do something else, that's great. And my door is always open to come back and jump on this parallel path. And so that's how I try to approach relationships. Is that you come together. And again, for us, we're spending this little bit of time together. And maybe the best thing for us is to keep going. And maybe the best thing for you is to watch a morning video every single day. If that's your path, I'm honored. I'm grateful. It's great to be here together. I hope I can inspire you with the shot of espresso every morning. It's amazing. And maybe we end up doing something even more closely together. Maybe you've got the next killer app that I'm going to invest in and help blow up. And maybe we become business partners in a bunch of different ventures. I've done that with 10 or so different people from my audience. We've launched different ventures together. And my goal always is to have the person that I'm running with grow as a human, to get better. I want people to feel like they have gotten better as a result of spending time with me. It's important to me. I want you to learn, even in this video, I want you to learn more and grow more than I want your view or your subscription on my channel. If you took this video and then ran with it and then blew up your life, not just business, your life, and never came back and watched another video of mine, I'm pumped. Some people say, hey, Evan, you introduced me to Jocko Willink, and I was watching all your videos, and now I don't watch as much because I go watch Jocko. Sorry, man. I'm pumped, right? If I'm no longer the best person for you, amazing. Go off and do that thing. Because it always comes back. Like, people are afraid of the loss. You're afraid of losing that person. You're afraid of losing that connection. It always comes back, like Bo, right? Whether they actually come back and join your team again, or they're just off in the world saying good things about you, good karma always comes back. And it makes you happier, it makes you positive, it makes you stop living in fear, in potential regret mode, if this person's gonna leave, in scarcity mindset. And whenever you're making decisions from that mindset, you're never gonna win. So think about the people on your team and want them to win as humans more than you want them to win with you. Now, I've got a 3-step process for how to do it that I'm gonna teach you right now. Step number 1 is try to wear their skin. One of the greatest tools I think you can ever develop as a human is to learn how to wear somebody else's skin. That's my own kind of weird term for it. I think people will usually say walk a mile in somebody's shoes, wear their shoes. I want to wear their skin. I want to be that person. I'm trying to be that person when I'm talking to them and try to think about not what I want them to do and how Evan Carmichael is where a lot of people fall down. You tell people what you would do in their situation. When people come and ask for advice, you say, well, I would do this. That's terrible advice. What you would do doesn't matter. What should they do? And the best advice you can give them is to actually try to be them, understand their hopes, their desires, their dreams, their core values, what they care about the most. Not from you being the entrepreneur, but from them being in the position that they're in right now. What's the best thing for them? And so try to put yourself into the practice of wearing their skin, of trying to be them. Right? If they're in front of you, or you can see them on a Zoom call, try to sit like them. Try to cross your arms like them. Try to have their posture, right? Somebody who's like this is thinking differently than somebody who's like this. Try to put yourself in their headspace, wear their skin to get as close to understanding what they're thinking and what they're going through to give them the best advice for what they should do next. Wear their skin. Number 2 is have regular non-operational check-ins. What I try to do is everybody on my team I'm meeting with at least once a quarter. And I'm trying to check in with them to see how they're doing, not just of what needs to get done. And I think this is a trap that sometimes I fall into, and I think a lot of entrepreneurs easily fall into. When you're connecting with somebody on your team, it's about, did you get this done? And brainstorming new ideas, and it's just work, business, as opposed to just asking about the person. How you doing? Do you like what you're doing? How's life? Do you want to be doing more? Do you want to be doing less? How can I be a part of what you're trying to accomplish in your role or just in life? For my team who are around the world, before I hop on a call with them, I'll always go to Google News and see what's happening in their country. Maybe there was some earthquake, maybe there was some election, maybe there was some big storm or some news that they might not share up front in a call because they're living it, but they may not think it's relevant. But the fact that I know that that's happening in their country is interesting, or even in their state or their city. I do this for clients too. When I'm talking to somebody, I was talking to somebody yesterday who's got a YouTube channel based out of Vegas, and I look up what's happening in Las Vegas so that I'm just headline news, what's happening in Las Vegas right now, which is a good practice to get into to understand the mindset of what that person's going through right now. So I look at somebody like Ray, who's on my team, who's in charge of all my thumbnails, and we're doing split testing and thumbnails across all my channels, and we're doing another 3,000 thumbnail experiments this year. It's crazy. And so we talk once a month to plan out our thumbnails, and we talk every day through Messenger or Hangouts. But once a month will be a big strategy session, and then once a quarter, I'm still sitting down with him to talk about just how is he doing? How's his life? How's his relationship? What is he liking about working with me? What does he want to tweak or change or fix or improve? What ideas does he have to want to make things better? Just a regular non-operational check-in can go a long way to actually learning how to wear somebody's skin and get inside their head. Again, not so that you can manipulate them, but so you can influence them and help them and lead them to have a best life for themselves. And then step number 3 is look to help them progress. So you're wearing their skin, you've learned about their city, you're doing regular, non-operational check-ins, and you've learned about them and what they care about. Now, how can you help? Sometimes it may mean you have to educate yourself. So for example, there was a person on my team who had Lyme disease. I'd never heard of what Lyme disease was. Never knew what it was, never heard about it, didn't care. I'm ignorant about most things, but the fact that he had it, now I went to Google News and I created a news alert around Lyme disease. And when something came out about Lyme disease that was interesting, new, novel, some new study or some new celebrity came out, Shania Twain has it, Avril Lavigne has it, Justin Bieber has it, I would share it with that person. And it made them feel like I cared. And I did care, right? I'm not every day going, Lyme disease, Lyme disease, Lyme disease, right? But the fact that it was in my news alerts and I was thinking about that person made them feel special. So it has nothing to do with my business, right? I'm always looking for opportunities to help somebody grow and learn. What skill set do you want to pick up? But outside of that, what do they care about? What are they struggling with? And how can you be a potential resource? And the more it's even outside of what you're supposed to do as a boss, the better it is even for that relationship. So look for ways to help them progress. Look for people who step up. It's not about their resume. It's not about where they used to work. It's not about how good their references are. It's about, are they willing to do the work when other people aren't? And it's up to you to give them the opportunity to step up and shine. And so I think about one of the businesses that I run, Toronto Dance Salsa, largest salsa dance school, maybe in North America. And when I first took it over, the original owner had to leave the business because her back was hurting and she couldn't dance anymore. It was causing her severe physical harm. And there was one guy named Alex, who now helps run the business, who was her assistant, who was training with her. And I knew Alex, and I didn't think Alex, would do a good job as an instructor. I was actually against him even training to be an instructor because he wasn't committed, he wasn't following through, he wasn't taking feedback, most importantly. And here he was training with her, and when she came down with the injury, I was the only person who could actually go and teach that class as at least a short-term gap. And so Alex became super deflated because a guy can't dance with another guy. I mean, I guess you could, but in our model, it's usually a man and woman at the front. So if I'm coming in to teach the class, then I would have a female assistant. And so Alex was really bummed, one, because the original owner is injured, and now two, the thing he worked so hard for was being taken away from him. So he comes to pick me up from my place. We're driving over to Toronto Dance Salsa, and I say, hey, we got two choices here. One, I'll teach and you can watch. I'll still train you because she was training you, and I'll honor that commitment, and you need to show up for your training and make sure you're doing your part. So I could teach the class and you could sit on the sidelines and I'll train you. Or two, you take over the class. Now it's your class, and we'll give you a female assistant and I'll train you from the sidelines. Which one do you want? And he didn't know the material. There's so many reasons why it wouldn't work out. He's got 3 hours of teaching he had to do that night that he wasn't prepared to do the entire class for. And he was already going in expecting that he was going to be benched. And he said, I'll do it. And it's in these moments that this is when I recognize great people for my team. It's like when you're not ready, but you're given an opportunity, do you step up? He wouldn't have been given that opportunity by most people. He wasn't ready. He made tons of mistakes. He had to teach the man and the women's part, and he barely knew the women's part. And I'm not so concerned about did he get it perfect. What I'm concerned about is, did he try? Is he saying yes? And I love throwing people into opportunities and seeing if they have that in them to say, I'll do it. I'll do my best. I'll try. Those are the people you want to surround yourself with. Now, fast forward to where we are now, it's something I have to remind Alex of when he's training new people. He's bringing new people on, and now he's built himself up to having such a high standard for what a class looks like that he doesn't let people move on until they've hit almost mastery. So now you need to lower the bar. You need to give people opportunities. You need to give them a taste. You need to see what they're made of, see if they're capable. Do you remember how bad you were when you first started? I have to remind him about the process, about how there was one move that he didn't want to teach at all, didn't feel comfortable, was worried that he would fall down on his face while doing it, turning twice. And he said, can you teach this, Evan? Like, nope, you're teaching it. If you fall, you fall. And he went up and he taught it, and he didn't fall. And so reminding him now that he needs to treat the people on his team who are under him now that he's built up and give them opportunities and not hold them back because they're not perfect. You want to find the people who are willing to step up, but you can't just blame them. Are you giving people the opportunities? Are you allowing them to shine? Are you giving them some rope to play with and not hanging them if they make a mistake? So yes, it's about finding the people, but it's too also about you owning your role to say, are you giving your team the opportunity to step up and impress not just you, but impress themselves as well? Okay, how do we do it? How do we build a better team? How do we build a better culture? How do we get people to step up? 3 steps, let's go. Step number 1 is fixing your hiring process. Most people have a broken hiring process. Most people hire people based off of the resume, the cover letter, an interview, and references. That's typically the process, right? Most of those things don't test for what they're actually going to be doing. You're putting people through this machine that is totally unrelated to the work they're actually going to be doing. If you're trying to hire a videographer, for example, you're trying to hire an editor, for example, for a YouTube channel, what their resume looks like doesn't matter. What their cover looks like doesn't matter. Like their ability to write a cover letter doesn't matter. You're hiring an editor. I don't care how well you write. If you're Shakespeare in writing, but you suck at editing, it doesn't matter. References are almost always BS. And interviews as well almost always don't work because, again, somebody could be the most introverted, shy person of all time and suck in an interview, but be great as an editor. So most of the time, I think the hiring process is broken and people are not judging people correctly. The best way to do it, I think, is to actually work on projects together. So what we'll do is when I'm doing a job post, it'll actually be one big ugly paragraph, and somewhere in the middle, we'll ask some kind of skill testing question like, tell me how many YouTube subscribers I have, and put that in the first line of your application. 80% of the people who apply for a job don't even catch that question, never find my YouTube channel, and don't put it in the first line of their application. So if you're not going to spend time actually reading my job ad, why am I going to spend time reading your application? This is why it's broken. It takes them 8 seconds to click apply, and they're just using the same cover letter, resume, everything they've done for everybody else. But it takes you time to read every one of them. Part of why we hate the hiring process is because it takes so long that then if you finally get somebody through this broken process, you don't want to lose them, and you keep somebody who's just okay because you don't want to go through that painful process all over again. If they don't respond to the skill testing question right away, you already lose 80% of the people. Now you've got 20% to work with. And what I love doing next is having a trial job. So instead of interviewing or anything else, we're going to work on a project together. I'll give up to 5 hours on a project. Go edit this video. Let's see what you got. And in the process of working with them, it actually maps really well to the work they're going to be doing if they actually got the job. And we see how well do they work together? How quickly are they working? Do they ask smart questions? Are they delivering a quality product? And in that paid trial, it's a paid trial. In that paid trial, we figure out who we end up wanting to work with. And it's often the people who don't look great on paper. A lot of the people on my team don't look that great on paper, but they're great. They're great people. And so fix your hiring process. And in your selection process, you're testing for the things that you actually care about that map well to the job that they're going to have. Because most people's hiring process is dead broken. Step number 2 is give them opportunities. So when you have people, it's like, great, what else are you working on, building, growing, learning? What do they want to get into? One of the advantages of being an entrepreneur is there's so many things, so many ideas we have, so many places we want to grow, so many new things we want to do. Chances are somebody's not going to come into a job and just do the same thing, just stamping this one thing all day long like they would in a manufacturing company. There's opportunities, but it's on you to actually give them opportunities. It's on you to have a conversation with them and believe in them and see that kind of hidden talent inside of them to say, hey, I think you could be great at this. Do you want to give it a shot? Yes, they have to step up and own their role, but a lot of times they don't because you, as the entrepreneur, haven't given them that opportunity. If you're not giving opportunities and you expect your team to say, hey, what else can I do? Where can I step up? I'd love to be of greater service. You can't just put all the responsibility on them. That makes it really difficult. Some people will do that, and that's an insane superstar for your team. But you need to do your role as a leader to see more in the person than they see in themselves and give them that chance to rise up and shine. And then step number 3 is expect imperfection. Don't expect the first thing that they do to be great. It's more, did they step up? Do you see potential? Is there something there that you can work with? When I gave Alex that opportunity to go and teach the class instead of sitting on the sidelines, he made tons of mistakes. He was super nervous. It wasn't great. He made mistakes everywhere. It wasn't to the point where we were letting our students down and it was a disappointment and they were asking for refunds or anything. But compared to how the founder would have taught it, or compared to how I would have taught it, it wasn't hitting the level. But I gave him feedback on the breaks, and I gave him feedback after the class, and I gave him feedback for the next weeks as I kept coming back to the class and mentoring him, and he got better. So I expect imperfections. Expect it not to be perfect. Don't focus on all the reasons why it sucked and try to give some encouragement and say, hey, these things were really great. Let's continue to improve here, and here's how you can get better. Expect imperfection. If they see your face, like, if I'm on the sidelines doing this as Alex is teaching, it's over. He's lost his confidence. He's not going to want to do it anymore. And it's not even just not expressing it, it's not feeling it. I expect it. If he fell on his face for that move that he wanted me to go off and teach, it would be okay. Everything is savable. I expect imperfections. And if you're throwing people into new opportunities, you should too. Communication is one of the most important skills that entrepreneurs need to have. And I think a lot of businesses fail because the entrepreneur cannot communicate well. And if they even are sharing their ideas, they are not convincing enough. And so a lot of great ideas die. You could have the next greatest idea that can change the world. It's sitting up here. But because you can't articulate it, because you can't share it, because you can't communicate it well, and because you're not convincing enough to the people around you, it will never take off. The idea will die within you, and I hate that. I hate that because building a business, getting the thing that's out here out into the world is greater than one person. No matter how much of a genius you are, to build a business, you need a team. You need a team of people to help you go far, and you also need to convince the media and customers and partners and suppliers that what you have is amazing. If you are the only one who thinks that your idea is amazing and you can't communicate or convince anybody else of that, then you're done. Then that idea dies within you. And I think, unfortunately, that's a lot of entrepreneurs. So Jordan has 3 of his tips. I'm gonna give you 3 of mine on how to be a convincing communicator. Step number 1 is have a powerful opinion. You have an opinion. What is it that you are trying to say? Make it mean something to yourself and to me, and make that the first sentence of every piece of content that you make. If you're doing a video, that's your first sentence. You're doing an Instagram post, put it in there. You're doing a LinkedIn post, an email, a newsletter, like put it in there. You lead with your powerful opinion on what is wrong with the world or what your viewpoint on XYZ topic is. Make it mean something to me, make me care. So if I'm talking about communication, how important it is for entrepreneurs, a powerful opinion would be something like, you need to learn how to communicate in your business or you will never get that idea that's in your head out into the world and your idea will die inside you. That's an opinion. Where lots of people might say something like, so if you want to learn how to build a successful business and maybe take your idea to the next level, I think maybe you should focus on trying to improve how you speak and communicate. Like, it's so long, it has lots of filler words. You use words like maybe and potentially and someday and one day and I wish and we instead of I, like affirmative. Stop worrying about what people's reactions are gonna be and speak your truth. Always lead with a powerful opinion. Tip number 2 is emotional commitment. This is where a lot of entrepreneurs really fall down. You've got your powerful opinion, you know what you stand for, you know what you're trying to communicate, but when you get in front of a camera or when you get down to writing, it doesn't sway people. It's not emotional enough. You could be saying all the best words when you get in front of a camera to make a video, but because you are talking in a very boring, very non-exciting manner, and because you're so worried about saying the perfect words that you are memorizing something or you are looking at your script or trying to read from a teleprompter, nobody is going to care or listen to you. You need to have emotional commitment. You need to feel the thing and how important it is while you are saying it. For me, I'm envisioning all of you. I'm envisioning all the entrepreneurs that I've worked with who have these amazing ideas and they never get them out because they can't communicate. And even though I'm sitting here in an office by myself and there's nobody around to actually connect with, I'm just talking to a camera. I'm trying to channel you. I'm trying to channel all the people that I've connected with and seen. And I want to make sure that your business does well. And communicating is so important as part of that, which is why I'm doing this video. And hopefully the care, the love, the energy comes through in the content that I make. And so sales and convincing people, not in a against what they want, but in a positive way. Like this is something that you guys can get together on, is about the energy transfer. You are not just selling a concept or an idea, you are transferring energy. Whoever is more confident wins, whoever is more convincing wins, and it's usually from whoever believes in their thing more. If you absolutely believe in your thing and that this is right and it's for them and they need to do this thing because it's in their best interest, not because they're just trying to sell something down their throat, but you really, 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 really care. And if they feel that care as opposed to just words that you're saying, that's how you bring them on board. It's great to have the best words, but more important is the emotional commitment that you have behind them. So the best test with any of this is watch back some of your content. Like watch back your videos, read your newsletters, see the copy on your website, look at the story that you wrote about yourself and why you started this business. Does it get you excited? It's like boom, 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 boom. Like, yes, that's right. That's why I do this thing. Or do you watch it and you get bored? If you get bored and it doesn't get your heart beating, then do it again. Do it again, and do it again, and do it again, and do it again. You will be one of your best critics. You will be one of your harshest critics. And so being able to look over your content and get to the point where you say, wow, yeah, I'm really proud of that. That's when you start to win. And tip number 3 is raise the stakes. Just make it more important. If you want to move people, so often we're focused just on the tactics, the strategies. Here's the 5 things that you need to do. And people say, yeah, great, I love those, the 5 things, awesome. And they write them down and then they never do anything about it. You need to raise the stakes. You have to make it more important. You have to make me feel the pressure that if I don't do this thing that you want me to do, terrible things will happen, right? So if I talk about how important communication is, me just saying communication is really important as an entrepreneur, here are the 3 ways to do it, is not as powerful as communication is one of the most important skills that entrepreneurs need to have, because if you don't learn how to communicate your idea and get it out there, that idea will die inside you and your mission will never be realized. And listen, that paints a dark picture that's going to an extreme, and the idea is not to have hyperbole and make things bigger than they are, but that's a real case for tons of entrepreneurs, that if they do not learn how to communicate properly, their ideas will never get out there and their idea will die inside them. And so your goal, if you want to move people, is to make them realize how big this thing is for them if they don't take action. You're the expert. You know where the road is going. You see their future if they continue down that path. They don't see that future. They don't understand it. It's your job to help them see where this current path of action is going to lead them. And if they make the tweak, they make the change, they take your recommendations, where it could go. Raise the stakes, make it more important, make them feel that it's more important, and it actually starts with you feeling that this message is insanely important. If you want to sign up for the entire Billionaire Mindset series for free and get the companion bonus PDF calendar, check the link right there next to me. I think you'll love it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.